Hello everyone, thanks for coming back to our channel, Cinnamon Glazed Nuts, and today we're going to talk to you about why you don't want to roast with the lid on. It seems very intuitive when you first get this machine that you'd have this nice lid and you cook and you put your nuts in and you want to put the lid on top. Well, it actually turns out that it's not such a good thing, and here's why.
Reasons why we probably shouldn't roast with the lid on. The lid traps moisture in the machine, which keeps the nuts wet, while cinnamon glazed nuts are supposed to be a roasted, crunchy snack. The nuts could stay soft in humidity instead of crisping up and roasting. Instead of the nuts glazing, the glaze may pile up and create a soggy, sticky mess. You need to allow excess moisture to evaporate so the nuts stay dry. Air circulation and a dry environment are perhaps the most important conditions for your nuts to roast perfectly. The trapped moisture could cause nuts to act like they are being steamed, like kale. The outside could burn while the inside may stay undercooked. You don't use the lid for roasting, but you have to use it for cleaning. Hot steam cleans the machine, and that is the one thing the lid is good for, trapping steam. That being said, the hot steam trapped in by the lid should melt away any glaze left over in the machine stuck on the sides. If the hot steam melts glaze while off a nut, shouldn't it melt it while on a nut? If this happens, we'll be stuck with a lot of nuts, paddling in a melted glazed swimming pool.
So we thought today it would be a good chance to actually roast with the lid on, just to see how you should not do it. So let's get started. First thing you got to do is get your water in, 1 cup of water. And I'm going to go ahead and start the motor. Then you follow up with your flavor. Get that mixed in. Like that. Then the nut packet. Okay, now up to this point I've just turned the rotator on for the motor. Now I'm actually going to turn on the heat. Okay. Now this is about a 17-minute process. We're going to let it run, but instead of leaving the lid off, this time we're going to roast with the lid on. Okay, we'll see you in 17 minutes and see how this turns out. Okay, so here we are a few minutes into the roasting process, and as you can see, the steam is rising and we're starting to collect a lot of moisture along here. I'm not sure how well you can see that on the video, but there's quite a bit of moisture starting to collect, and the steam is being, instead of being allowed to escape, it's being held into the roasting pan. So we're going to see how this turns out. Now also, as you can hear, the machine is creating an odd noise, and it's stemming from the lid being on, and it's touching the top of the machine and creating this vibrating sound, which is also not normal to the roasting process. Okay, so we're getting close to the roasting time being done. Got about another 20 seconds, and we're going to find out just what kind of a mess we made with these nuts. Alright. The roasting time has passed, and we're going to turn off the heat and see what we've got going on here. Alright, well, this looks nothing like what we're normally used to. Normally by this time we have nice, dry, crunchy, roasted nuts, and at this point now we have a gooey, wet, they almost look like baked beans and not roasted nuts mixture. So let's go ahead and turn this motor off and let them cool down, and then we'll do a taste test and see if they're even edible. All the nuts stayed in though. when during the wet process, they don't jump out anyways. It's only during, you know how when they turn dry, like they start kind of crystallizing, then that's when they start wanting to, like, because they kind of jump on top of each other and then work their way out. Yeah, I never had a chance to have that this time around. Okay, so as this is cooling in here, it's creating one big sticky goo mess. And I'm almost wondering if we should allow this to fully cool in here, because if I do, it might just make one big old solid chunk, and it's going to be a hard thing to clean and be a big, big mess. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and turn the roasting process back on. I'm going to go ahead and see if we can salvage this batch. I'm not sure what's going to happen, if they're going to be, because after we run them through on the second process, I'm not sure if they're going to be over roasted or if there's any way that they'll still be halfway decent when we eat them, but we're going to try that. And I also took some out as is so that we can taste test them after they've cooled to see how they turned out. Okay, so here we are on the second attempt of roasting this first batch. We're going to see if we can salvage them and if they taste okay. And the aroma is not quite the same. It's obviously, well, it smells like it's a little bit on the burnt side, so we're going to see how that transpires into flavor, because, you know, it's obviously not meant to be going through 2 rounds of roasting. Alright, so we're going to taste test these out of the batch that was roasted with the lid on and see how they turned out. What I can say is initially the nut is significantly shinier, and it's got almost like a candy coated shell on there instead of like the roasted shell. And so yeah, let's go ahead and give it a try.
I don't know if I even want to try it. I mean, those smell burnt, so.
Well, that's already been another round. It's definitely different. They're not as sweet.
Yeah, definitely not as sweet.
It's a slight burnt taste, but not overly burnt. It's more like instead of roasted, it's more of like a toasted nut.
Yeah.
Like if you would brown some nuts in a pan to try to get that real nutty. It's really nutty. It's a very deep nutty flavor.
It's definitely not chewy or anything.
No, I expected them to be kind of chewy.
But
honestly.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, we did use the almond, which is more crunchy.
Right. But it's not hard in the sense that it's like hard candy. It's more hard in the sense that it's crispy. And they're actually easy to chew, but they're crunchy, crispy.
Yeah.
With a very strong, nutty flavor.
Yeah, I don't know if I like them as much, but
I definitely don't like them as much. So the moral of the story here is, ladies and gentlemen, roast with your lids off.
I think that's the moral.
Yes, turns out much better.